following podcast is being brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network.
This week on the Defy Life Podcast, we will discuss the passing of Dwayne Haskins, as well as the HBO Max series Winning Time, The Lakers Dynasty. And we will be joined by a special guest. All that and more. On to the show.
The following podcast.
Welcome back to the Defy Life Podcast, powered by the Defy Life Podcast Network. This episode is sponsored by Bud Bottles, home of the Bud Bottle and the Bud Freshener. Please visit budbottles.com for your odor eliminating needs. This is episode 215. Y'all come on in, wipe your feet, close the door behind you. This is JR Glymph, your host, joined as always by my wonderful co-host Thomas Stevens, as well as a special guest, Brandon Chabdog Chabner. Pooh, how's it going, man? How you doing?
Talking to me, yeah, I'm fine. I'm glad to be here. It's been way too long since I've been honored with your presence and able to contribute on your podcast. So I'm happy to be involved.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, man. It's always good to have you. Sorry, I was on mute. Thanks for joining us. It's always good to have you on, man. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you in the Chabdog Sports Talk show?
Okay, yeah, we're at, you can find all our episodes on YouTube now. We're on YouTube. Every show airs on Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Pacific time, and like I said, we're on YouTube. You just type in Chabdog Sports. You can find all the episodes there. We're also on Spreaker. Type in Chabdog there, and at my website, chabdog.com, where you can find everything that's going back to 2014. So we got a lot of episodes just like you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Chabdog is our resident West Coast member of the Defy Life family, so it's always good to hook up with you when time permits.
Yeah, and I enjoy your talking today about the Winning Time series, and that certainly focuses on the what we have here on the West Coast with the glory of the Lakers.
Absolutely.
And I also want to mention I got the Pittsburgh Steelers site on Facebook, and I certainly want to, mention the Dwayne Haskins situation, and well wishes to his family. And I'm really sorry to hear about what happened. Maybe you know more about what happened. It was just kind of a crazy thing to hear about on a first thing Saturday morning.
Yeah. It's I heard about it when my wife and my kids went out of town, so I got back in the house and checked my phone, of course. First thing we always do when we sit down. And just shocking, of course, my son is a huge Steelers fan as well, and I had to call him and inform him. But yeah, the Steelers quarterbacks and skill position players were down in South Florida at Mitchell Trubisky's house, working out before OTAs began. And I mean, of course, no one knows why Dwayne Haskins was walking on the interstate. Apparently, he's trying to cross the interstate. I've been in my early 20s, and I've done that several times. Not the smartest decision, but we've done a lot of things in our early 20s, and that's one of them. So no one knows why, but he was struck by a dump truck as he was crossing the interstate. And, of course, pronounced dead at the scene. Very, very tragic. He just got married, just settling in the community in Pittsburgh. He'd done a lot of work in the city. And, from a human perspective, it's sad. A 24-year-old, loses his life. Of course, it's extremely sad. And then, from a fan perspective, of course, you're a Steelers fan. It touches you in another way because you know things about players of your favorite team. You kind of become attached to them. And then from a football perspective, you think about that locker room between this and, with Presley Harvin's father passing at the end of last season and Stephon Tuitt's brother being killed in a hit and run before last season. It's got to be tough times in that locker room right now, and really difficult to shift back to football. So, like you said, man, really sad, and rest in peace to Dwayne Haskins. A really, really tragic story.
Yeah. Everybody remembers there's been a few players like that on your team that, or at least I can say. I remember some players on the Celtics fan, and I remember some tragic deaths. Reggie Lewis and Len Bias.
Right.
Those guys were great players. I mean, they really were ready to make their mark. Haskins, I couldn't figure out or gauge how ready he was to kind of step up and improve things. I mean, he had physical talents and qualities that I thought might lend themselves to being a good quarterback, but I don't know if people on the team thought that he was moving in the right direction with that or not. I mean, it doesn't really matter in terms of the sadness of the whole situation. But did you talk to anybody that knew him or do you privy to anything about that?
Well, not directly. Kind of talked to some people who knew, who know a couple people on the roster. Nothing but good things to say as far as, of course, him as a person. But, everything else is still a mystery. The investigation, as far as that goes, is still a mystery. No one, the most common thing I've heard is I just don't know what to say. Is what what everybody's saying. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody has any explanation. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you never know. And it's cliche for a reason, but, tell the people you love that you love them because you never know what's around the corner.
Exactly. That's good advice.
Yeah. But, yeah, man, not an easy segue to anything after that. But you are in L.A., and, there's a new series on HBO Max called Winning Time. It's about the building of the dynasty of the Los Angeles Lakers. And quickly for a second. Thomas, are you there? Okay, I thought I lost him. Hey, we'll get you back on. So
are you talking to the other fellow that's on?
Yeah, I thought he was still here, but he was having some connection issues, so he'll join us.
Oh, so he dropped off? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're talking about this because my wife turned me onto it last night, and I'm not a Lakers fan. I make no bones about it. I've been a Celtics fan my whole life, but I did really get into the Lakers-Celtics rivalry in the 80s, and I guess I kind of, over time, have started to like the Showtime Lakers more than I did at the time, when I was going through it. Right. So I love to talk about it. I saw the first episode last night, and it's quite entertaining. Did you see it? How much have you seen of it?
I've watched every episode.
You saw every episode. You're ahead of me.
Yeah, I'm ahead of you. But I was anticipating it. But the first thing, and I'll speak from just because even if you watch the first episode, I was really impressed from the very beginning. One, because I don't know the actor's name, the guy who's playing Magic. He has.
Oh yeah, he did a good job. Yeah, I don't know him either.
He looks like him, but he's Magic has a very distinctive speech pattern, and he sounds exactly like Magic, and his facial expressions. So he's doing a really good job, and everybody. The guy who's playing Kareem is doing well. What were your thoughts on the first episode?
I mean it definitely captures the LA feel, with all the beautiful girls and kind of the sleazy cheesiness of Jerry Buss, John C. Riley is he's like the perfect. They did a great job making him Jerry Buss, because he's got that, he's got that stupid shit-eating grin all the time, and just kind of careless, happy-go-lucky attitude. And so he carries that off. I think that you needed a good character like that to kind of be the centerpiece of the episode. And then they had I like Jack Kent Cooke. Did you recognize who Jack Kent Cooke was?
Yeah, absolutely. Once they went into his abrasiveness, I knew exactly who Jack Kent Cooke was.
No, but did you know who was playing him? It's a little dated because you're not as old as me, so you might not recognize this guy, but he was the guy that was playing Danny Noonan in Caddyshack. Did you ever see Caddyshack?
I've never seen Caddyshack, and it's one of those. God. Yeah, it's one of those things that now I just won't watch it because it's kind of a thing now that I won't.
Right, because everybody knows all the words, and it's overdone. But that's a movie I grew up with, and so that's Michael O'Keefe, and I think that's who plays Jack Kent Cooke.
Gotcha.
And then the guy who played the Jerry West character is hilarious.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was,
and he's spot on as well.
Yeah,
and of course, you watch the series, some of it kind of runs together. They haven't introduced Pat Riley yet in episode 1, have they?
No, he hasn't showed up yet. No. Okay. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So, So, I mean, that really spoiled a bit. Adrian Brody plays him. He's doing well as well.
Okay. I have to just see it because that guy. What's his name? Brody.
Adrian Brody. Yeah, you'll recognize him because of his nose.
Yeah, I'm sure I will. Yeah. He got the hair slicked back and everything. I'm sure, right?
Well, he's early. Before Showtime, Pat Riley, so he had the mustache and the scraggly hair at that point. Yeah.
The mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's just like coming out of the '70s, not quite out of it.
Right. The guy that plays Chick Hearn is doing really well, and further episodes. The Jack McKinney character is spot on. So
Jack McKinney.
Yeah.
What did Jack McKinney was? Was he the guy that, was he before Pat Riley or after?
He was before. He actually started that season as the head coach. He was the first-year head coach, and I'm not going to spoil it, but
something happened to him, didn't he? Like maybe he had an accident.
Yeah. So
his bike.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So he fell off his bike and almost died. Almost killed himself riding his bike. But yeah, so it's
okay.
It's really entertaining.
Yeah. And then I like the part with they had Norm Nixon, a guy playing Norm Nixon, who was getting his nails done.
Right. And,
I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, and it's weird because that was. Of course, I wasn't in the early days of the Lakers dynasty. I wasn't watching basketball yet. I was 3, but so I heard about Norm Nixon mostly because he's married to Debbie Allen.
The dancer, right?
Right.
She's a dancer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was on Fame, I think, at the time, and so I knew of Norm Nixon, but I never knew how good he was. I never knew he was an all-star and. So, Norm Nixon was a really good player.
Yeah, and he was no slouch. I mean, he wasn't a nobody, and so that scene where he kind of schools Magic at the party.
Yeah, that was good.
That was surprising, but then again, I could imagine Norm had some good moves, and Magic maybe he was a little intimidated.
Yeah, I imagine so. You know what I was wondering, because there's so many big personalities in this series. I wonder how much they exaggerated them, if at all, because there's no way Kareem was that surly.
Oh, telling the kid to
right,
blank off.
Right.
But then again, Kareem is, Kareem. He is kind of. He does pout, he does, he does mope around and kind of, he can be negative.
Yeah, and so I wonder if if they kind of played that up or if he was actually that bad.
Yeah. Well, I heard that the Jerry West disputes that he's like that.
Right.
I mean, they just made him into a blithering maniac.
Yeah, Jerry. I mean, Jerry Buss, from all accounts, was pretty much really over the top in that way.
Yeah, that scene, and they started off the first scene, and he's in bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was classic. That was just classic.
And it's so like typical LA in the 70s, 80s, like it's so typical.
Yeah. Not the first team that was put together kind of on the fly by somebody that didn't really have a lot of money, but just had had the ability to beg and kind of cobble together what he needed just to get it done.
Right.
I think George Bush kind of did something like that with the Rangers.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's it's kind of again a sign of the times, because in these days with so much information at your fingertips, it's hard to like delay any kind of process when you're being vetted. Back in the 80s, you could kind of say some things and figure it out later.
Right. And to hope that you could. I mean, like that scene, even when he gets to the meeting with Jack Kent Cooke where he's supposed to get the team, and he still didn't know if it was going to happen because I guess under their agreement, Cooke had the ability to actually ask for all cash, and instead, and of course, the Buss didn't have that. He just had half of it in cash, and so he had to kind of negotiate his way around that by talking Kent Cooke into keeping, with the original deal of half and half, but it was up in the air for, right until the end.
Yeah, and and if he hadn't done that, we might not have ever seen the Showtime Lakers as we know them.
Right.
So, as a Celtics fan, question for you: as a Celtics fan, lifelong Celtics fan, two questions. First, you mentioned Len Bias and Reggie Lewis. Off the top of your head, how many more championships would the Celtics have if either one of those guys, if neither one of them had passed away?
Well, yeah, it's kind of putting me on the spot. But I would say probably one or two. I don't think it'll be necessarily more than that, but conservatively, I think at least one, maybe two. Len Bias was, an amazing physical presence, and could have kind of helped shore the Celtics up, I think, in like 1988 and 89. I think that's when I'm trying to remember when he had his, when he died, but wasn't that in the early 80s?
Yeah, it was 80, was it the 86 draft?
Something like that. Yeah, Reggie Lewis was not too much later, I think.
Yeah, Reggie Lewis was 91.
Yeah.
But
I kind of think they would have. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of think they probably would have been able to take one of those titles that the Bulls won, because it's just he would have been. Both those guys would have given them more presence up front, and that's.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what they were missing when Larry Bird kind of faded off in the early 90s.
Right.
Same with McHale. I mean, in 88 they were very competitive. 87 they were very competitive.
Yeah.
Barely losing to 87. They lost to the Lakers in a very close series. I mean, that could have gone either way. And then they lost to Detroit in the playoffs in 88.
Right.
But that was very close. So a guy like Len Bias would have really helped a lot with the rebounding inside. And Reggie Lewis was talented. He was very kind of more of a swingman player, but reasonably big too. So those are what ifs. Nice to think about.
Yeah, and again, tragedies, and it would have been perfect timing, I guess, especially for Len Bias, like you mentioned with Larry Bird and his back issues kind of fading away towards the late 80s, early 90s, to kind of be the guy who could take over. Len Bias was, as far as a prospect goes, he was kind of, not to compare him as players, but as far as expectations, he was kind of LeBron before LeBron.
He was physically just a specimen.
Right.
I don't know. He was seemed like a combination of LeBron and the mailman and somebody else. I don't know. He wasn't. I'm not sure about his shooting. Like if he could have, because LeBron has pretty good range, but he's a really huge, great jumping ability and strong as hell.
Yeah.
He's kind of athletic, more athletic. He had Charles Barkley's athleticism underneath, but he was in better shape
and taller. Yes.
Yeah, and taller. Was he like 6'9"?
6'9", yeah, 6'9". He's 5 inches taller than Barkley. So I guess you're saying if Karl Malone, LeBron, and Chris Webber had a kid, they would be everybody.
Yeah, Chris Webber's big too. Chris Webber might have been bigger.
Yeah, Chris Webber was 6'10".
I like Chris Webber a lot. I never got over the fact that they lost that series against the Lakers. I think that was kind of stolen.
It was, absolutely.
He never got the proper credit, and then he goes down in history with known for that timeout he called.
Yeah.
Did he get into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. Yes, he did. He did. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Because he was a really good player.
He was. You're right. It's a shame that he didn't get his chance in the finals because that series was absolutely stolen from them.
Yeah. That was one of the worst thefts by the referees. They called so few fouls on the Lakers that whole game. It was, I don't know how you could even miss it. It was just absurd.
Right.
Yeah. But of course, the Kings had the misfortune of having Vlade Divac on their team, and he threw that crazy pass to nobody. Ended up.
Oh, Vlade Divac, and Vlade Divac kind of came along at the end of the Lakers dynasty as a Laker.
Yeah. He came in and he helped them.
They say you never want to be the guy who replaces the guy. So imagine having to be the Lakers center after Kareem retires. You don't want to be that guy, and that's who Vlade Divac was. Yeah, it's kind of like I went to college with a guy who was I played ball with him in college. He was the guy who replaced Emmitt Smith after Emmitt left the Cowboys, and he always says, I wish it was somebody before me because you don't want to be the man after the man.
Yeah, those are unfortunate shoes to fill.
Right.
And, they're going to have that. They have that problem with quarterbacks, obviously, and Pittsburgh's going to. But I think with Pittsburgh, they got a chance with this guy. Just let him show you what he can do.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Because he's got legs, and Ben didn't have legs at the end, and that was hard to watch.
Right.
A lot of broken plays because of that.
Right, and a lot of limitations to what you can run as a coordinator. And I know you're. I don't want to hold you up. So, last question before I let you go. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Okay.
So you mentioned Mitch Trubisky is the Steelers' new quarterback. And it's almost sacrilegious to say that the Steelers are in a better position with Mitchell Trubisky than they were with Ben Roethlisberger. But if you know, we know why.
Yeah, you gotta be honest, And,
right.
And I, if that's what you're asking me, I think yes. At this point in time, it's better for them to have a mobile quarterback who's got a pretty good arm and who's got some years to grow, and it gives them more options in a lot of ways. The Steelers became a team that they weren't really able to do a normal running game where the quarterback could hand the ball off to the running back by staying under the center, and doing play action. Everything was from the shotgun, and that doesn't help your running game. I think it created kind of a very predictable offense, and they were over relying on things like short passes, and the offense became predictable and kind of stagnant. So, and then he couldn't throw the ball downfield very well because he couldn't create time for himself because he can't move. So, this guy's got a lot of qualities they need, and if they work with him, then maybe some really good things can happen. It doesn't mean that we're disrespecting Roethlisberger. I love Roethlisberger, but every good thing has to end, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said, and it's almost sacrilegious as a Steelers fan to say, I'm kind of glad Ben Roethlisberger called it quits when he did. He may have waited a year or two too late to do it, just because he's a dinosaur. And
he didn't want to leave. He's competitive.
Right.
But he realized, I think, that this was the best thing for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I agree. I think Trubisky, just his youth, his athleticism, his ability to, as you mentioned, create time to get those bigger plays without having to do straight dropbacks and throw it 50 yards down the field or hope for a big play. That's just not the what is conducive to success on offense in the current NFL.
Yeah, and you might want to look at some old footage of some other quarterbacks that aren't so famous that played for the Steelers who had some mobility and. I'm just thinking about like a guy like I saw Mark Malone's highlights from the 1984 playoffs, and that was on YouTube. I put that on my Steelers site, and if you watch that game, that guy had like 5 or 6 pretty good receivers, and he was, he threw good, nice passes, and he was able to move around the pocket, and that's what you need. And the Steelers went all the way to the AFC Championship with that.
Right.
And it was made for a pretty interesting offense. So, plus they had 2 really good running backs. So I'm just going off on this because I saw things in that game that I haven't seen all year in the Steelers and last year. And so you don't need a Hall of Fame quarterback. You just need a quarterback with the right qualities for balanced offense.
Absolutely, and to be able to sustain drives is the key thing.
So, I really loved being on. I'll be on anytime you want. This is a pretty good time for me, and I appreciate what you're doing with the Defy Life Network. I'm happy to be part of it, just keep doing what you're doing, okay?
Hey, likewise, Chabdog. Thanks for joining me, and we'll talk to you soon.
We'll get you on. Yeah, Saturday,
Yes.
I'd love to introduce you to people I do it with, okay?
Definitely. We'll talk to you Saturday.
All right, man. Take care.
Right. Take care, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, that was Chabdog from the Chabdog Sports Talk Show, a member of the Defy Life family out in L.A. So thanks again, Chabdog, for joining me. On to our regular show. I want to jump back a little bit and give a shout out to our patrons. If you want to become a patron of Defy Life, definitely check us out at patreon.com/GoDefyLife. You can find us at DefyLifePods.com or anywhere else you listen to your podcast for free $99. You can find our written content at GoDefyLife.com, the granddaddy of them all. And you can find our branded apparel at DefyLifeGear.com. Definitely check it out. The new spring line is out there. Pooh is with me now. Pooh, man, I know you never got a chance to be on with Chabdog or on our show or his show. So y'all check us out. We are going to be on Chabdog's show this Saturday as guests to return the favor on his show. So definitely check us out there. But you missed a good one, man. We was talking about winning time, and with the Lakers dynasty. I know you said you're gonna start checking it out, so it's a damn good show, man. You gotta check it out.
No doubt, we'll do.
Yeah, you good though?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Hey, life, hey, bowl of chocolate, man. I'm having a great time. Celebrated my daughter's birthday. Went down to Atlanta, Sugar Factory, with Georgia Aquarium. That joint's mad dope. So we had a wonderful time, man. Wonderful time.
Right. Happy birthday again, Niecy Pooh. Yeah, man. So, but yeah, the trip was good. Had some beautiful pics with the fam. So glad y'all had a good time, man.
No doubt, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
She enjoyed it.
Oh yeah. She loved it, man. She always wants more.
Of course. Tapping
More.
daddy's pockets. That's what she
Right. More.
No
Want
doubt.
that baby more. Yeah. So kids, man, you gotta love them.
No doubt. Hey, I always say, if we need to have more spoiled little black girls. So spoil that girl. No doubt.
No doubt.
Yeah,
No doubt.
man. Well, yeah, man. Al in here, so fuck them Jets. We ain't talking about the Jets today.
No doubt.
We were gonna talk about them, but Al had to go clean up his office down here in downtown Nebraska. So
Right.
Al's cleaning his office up. We're gonna do a show really quick. Yeah, man. So what I want to talk to you about, we're gonna talk a little bit about the draft. Anytime I get a chance to talk about the draft, I'm with it. So, quick question for you.
All right.
I'm gonna give you a few names of some prospects who are, by most accounts, rated in the top 10, 15 prospects.
Okay.
And if I want you to tell me which of these prospects is most likely to fall out of the top 10 on draft day. All right.
Okay.
First name is Malik Willis, quarterback from Liberty. Even if he's not a top 10 prospect to some people, he's a quarterback, so he's probably going to be overdrafted.
Right.
Next is safety Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame. Most people have him in the top 5. Next is Charles Cross, offensive tackle from Mississippi State. He's kind of been gaining steam lately, and as the number 3 offensive tackle. And if those other two go in the top 5, between Akem Ekwonu and Evan Neal, Charles Cross won't be far behind. Okay. Next is cornerback Derek Stingley from LSU. Derek Stingley Jr. from LSU. Pretty high-rated prospect. And last is Sauce Gardner, another cornerback from Cincinnati. Of those guys, who do you think was most likely to fall out of the top 10 come draft day?
Man, I really hated to say it. Of course, Malik, I think he's definitely going to get drafted up there in the top 10. Like you say, he's a quarterback. If anything, they would definitely reach on him. But if I go back to the quote unquote Deshaun Watson draft, when we knew what he was and leading up to the draft a week, 2 weeks, a month before, they just went to tearing him down. You just can't do that. So I really don't see them doing that with Malik right now. He's really on the incline, so he's on the way up. So that's a great thing for him.
Right.
But I would have to say,
I hate to cut you off, but real quick, you know what I like to call that draft?
What's that?
The Mitchell Trubisky draft. That's what I like to call it. But go ahead.
Hey, no doubt. I probably would say Derek Stingley, only because he was out for a year.
Okay.
Because I think he's an absolute monster, So, but but I really don't. You really don't see safeties. Kyle Hamilton, even though he's a freak, 6'4", or about 215 on a 4.5. You really don't see that too often either. Mm-hmm. But if you see a safety going in the top 10, he's normally a 6 foot 6'1" on a 4.32 guy. Mm-hmm. That could run like the wind. So with that being said, Sean Taylor, right.
And Sean Taylor, he is not.
No. So with that being said, I'm gonna go with Hamilton. I was saying Stingley, but he still put up a good day. And then looking back at what the kid from LSU, the receiver,
Chase.
Looking at what Chase did last year, they may be like, you know what, year off may not be so bad. So I'm gonna go with Kyle Hamilton.
Okay, yeah. I would actually agree with you. Simply because I don't think he's that caliber of a player. I don't think he's a top 10 player. I think he's a top 10 athlete.
Right.
He just doesn't make enough plays for me. And if I'm taking a safety in the top 10, he got to make a ton of plays. Like he got to jump out on film for me, and he just doesn't. Not a bad player by any means. But of those guys, yeah, I think he's the one. And I see where you're going with Stingley. He would be a close second for me.
Right.
Like you said, the time off, the injury. I think he had a broken foot that he only was able to play 4 games last year.
Oh yeah.
And the year before was the COVID year, and so he hadn't really played. His freshman year he was dominant.
He was dominant, man.
But we haven't, and he has the traits to be dominant like that again. But I think what teams will have pause is, can he regain that form after injury? Like Chase just sat out a year.
Right.
And, he never, but then there's like the double concern with the injuries with Stingley. So Stingley would be in consideration, but I think Hamilton does fall out of the top 10 if any of those guys do.
Okay, no doubt.
Yeah. But yeah. And lastly, we got a listener question. Really good one, actually. Guess people have been picking up on our hip hop talk lately. But yeah, Dwayne from Charlotte wants to know, what is the dopest opening verse on a group or posse hip hop track, in your opinion?
Man, that was tough. That was really tough. That was really tough because, I mean, I'm all over, huge pop guy. But if I go to the true, and you almost can say anything with Dre and Big Boy, because then all the Wu-Tang stuff. So all the things are just, all of them are huge. But I'm gonna go with my guy. I'm gonna go with my guy CeeLo Green with black skin.
Okay.
Yeah, beautiful skin. I said black.
Yeah,
beautiful.
I know. Oh yeah, but I know what you're talking about though.
No doubt.
Yeah, that's a dope one.
Yeah.
I'm quite single, but occasionally I mingle. Yeah, yeah, that's a dope. Yeah, I didn't even think about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. I tried to think of something else, and I thought of a few, but the one I kept coming back to was the Rebel INS, Inspector Deck on Triumph.
I was on that too. Hey, what's crazy is I was on that because I Googled it and I was like, man, that Triumph is ill.
Yeah, and Abomatomically, Socrates' Philosophies and Hype. Man, that, and to have that be the first single off of their second album, a double album, and that dope ass video, for him to hit like that, like as the first impression you get from that CD,
he hit, Jay. He bodied it. He hit.
Yeah.
Because that's what I thought of first. I didn't mention it, but that's what I thought of first. After I got past the cast and but that's what I got. That's what I pulled up. I pulled up Triumph, and I was like, man, because I was like, that ain't man. That's that.
Mm-hmm.
Carrying on.
Yeah,
but, definitely.
Yeah, he ain't ride the beat. He parallel parked that bitch.
No, he did. He was second. He was second to none in that joint.
Yeah. So yeah, two good ones though, because that beautiful skin, CeeLo, man, and CeeLo, man. And speaking of which, y'all get ready for thanks to my wonderful co-host Thomas Stevens, we're gonna be doing a special episode of talking about Outkast, and this month April is the 20th anniversary of 25th anniversary. Sorry,
Yeah.
of Outkast's debut CD, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music. So we're going to be doing a special episode really soon dedicated to the impact and the legacy of Outkast and just how they affected and flipped the music scene on its head.
Right. Right.
So be looking out for that soon. Me and Pooh and Al will be talking about that. We may have a special guest on or two to discuss it. Wish we could find Hot Rod, like Pooh said, but Hot Rod somewhere in the Midwest, driving Uber in a Tesla somewhere.
We probably shoveling snow right now.
Right.
Still, yeah.
Put new tires on his car. We don't know where to ride.
Right.
But yeah, so a couple of names we got in mind to have on that y'all might miss. So, but yeah, man. Again, shout out to Al, man. We miss you. We know you had some connectivity issues, in your office, but you got to go clean up. Got to clean up that dust behind your computer, man.
Right.
Mess with your connectivity. So get a maid, like Pooh. A French
Go
maid.
ahead. Go ahead.
Making the big bucks. I come in the office the other day. I was like, who this chick with this short skirt and a duster? This is my maid. I was like, oh, Francesca. Okay.
Right.
Call her fancy. Well, yeah.
Right. Wearing this DeMar DeRozan jersey.
Right. Jersey dress. A Jamal DeRozan jersey dress. Who was that?
Wow.
Oh man, but yeah, that's all we got, man. Again, thanks to Chabdog, Pooh, man. We'll talk to you Saturday over on the West Coast with Chabdog.
No doubt. Who got two joints I want to hit you with though? Because I didn't
ask you if you had anything.
Yeah, I do. I want to ask you about what do you think about the Bobby Wagner signing with the Rams?
It's huge, man. First of all, where the hell are they getting all this money?
Bro, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like,
right?
They gotta be $45 million over the cap.
Right, but I guess if you think about it, like Andrew Whitworth just retired, so their offensive line is pretty cheap. They lost Austin Corbett in free agency. Okay. So like when you have, they got Stafford, now Wagner, Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd. I guess they
traded Woods contract, right? They traded Woods contract, right?
And that'll kind of be and that'll kind of balance off the fact that they're going to bring back OBJ. So I guess when you have those top end guys and you top heavy, you got to cheat because usually where like the bulk of your cap space gets eaten up out of your stars is on the offensive line.
Correct.
When you got 5 guys who work as a unit, and you pay them all pretty handsomely, that eats up at your cap space. Right. So I guess it's akin. If you got a cheap offensive line, I guess it's the same as having a cheap young quarterback.
I get it.
So, I get it. But yeah, I love the signing of Bobby Wagner.
That's always been like their weak spot, like middle. Right. Even though when they had Littleton outplayed his contract. He went to, he was at average 110 tackles. Mm-hmm. He went to the Raiders. Yeah. But for some reason he just didn't pan out in their system. Right. But they're a bona fide stud. Right. In the middle that's going to clean up everything.
Yeah, I think, the last time they had a stud, and I guess Alec Ogletree was the last time they had a stud in the middle, or London Fletcher. That's been a while, either way.
Yeah. That's been
or James Laurinaitis was pretty decent. They've had players.
For a minute. For a minute.
Yeah, and my point is when they've had those, rocks at middle linebacker, they've won.
Yeah.
And coming off a Super Bowl, it only to get better. And so we always say, if you ain't getting better, you're getting worse.
You're getting worse.
Because everybody else is getting better. So, yeah, to bring in a guy like Wagner, that's huge, man.
And then I read today, which is absurd, Man, said they about to bring in Stephon Gilmore.
Jeez.
I said, man, yo, the Bears just overpay him for 2 years just to prevent him from going to LA.
Right.
I said, man, get out of here, man. That's just famine, man. That's just feast of famine, man, and they're feasting. That if they get that kid, that won't make any sense to me. Like how could they pay him? He's still a really, really good player. He, banged up, came back early, but
right.
no way, man. No way.
Right.
No freaking way.
Yeah, and I guess if you're not a Rams fan, the only thing you can hope for is that it's just too many stars on one defense, because we've seen it happen before.
Right.
And guys start getting frustrated with their role, and so if you're not a Rams fan, that's all you can hope for. There's just too many egos and money floating around their locker room, and guys get fat and complacent after a Super Bowl win. That's all you can hope for, because on paper. And again, we say, like we always say, they don't play games on paper. They play them inside your TV. But on paper, they loaded.
No, on paper they loaded. You're right. They definitely loaded. Boy, you wow.
Yeah, man. What else you got for me?
That's it. I saw the few. You think the Browns gonna try to bring back Juice to go with Deshaun, since they're not able to bring in the kid Brandon Cooks? They saw everybody 8 to 10 teams called about Brandon Cooks, so they decided to go ahead and up the ante and give him about $25 more million, something like that. So
yeah, they give him $20 million a year.
20. So they was like, and if you really, you kind of like disrespect him and take him for granted. But if you look at him, all the kid get is 1,000-yard season. That's all he dropped.
Right, every year.
Every
yeah, and and he ain't Devontae Adams or Tyreek Hill by any means, but you're right. Like, he produces, and I'm pissed off at him now, because now, one guy, the last guy get paid, the next guy want to get $1 more, and so now Deontay Johnson asking for $20 million a year. And,
oh wow!
Yeah, so he's going into a contract year.
Wow.
But if you look, if Brandon Cooks and Christian Kirk, if these guys are getting $20 million a year, I can't fault him.
Yeah, if Christian Kirk got it, and the other kid, and that floored me. What's the kid name, Jay? They got the, and I was like, what?
The other one that went to Jacksonville, who was that?
Jacksonville, yeah.
I forgot.
And
yeah,
I can't recall either. But I just couldn't believe it, and I was like, wow.
Right, and usually it's one guy. Like last year, Kenny Golladay got a big contract. I was like, what?
Right.
But receivers are, and it goes in trends. I remember Derek Dockery, the guard from Washington.
I remember.
Remember that? He got a huge contract, and then guards started getting paid all wild across the league.
Yeah. Right.
And I guess it's just the receiver's turn right now.
Yeah, it's their turn. I ain't mad at them.
Nah, not at all. So
but yeah, that was some crazy money though.
Yeah.
That was some crazy money.
But like I tell Lincoln, that's the cost of doing business.
That's the cost of doing business.
Right. You want to win, like either that you're gonna pay them, or you're gonna be like, man, we ain't got no receivers. Hey, you gotta pay.
Zay Jones, but
Zay Jones,
big deal. But Zay Jones got the break. Wow, they signed Evan Ingram as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, they're not playing for Trevor. They bringing it in there.
Exactly, and they get ATN back.
Yeah.
So
wow.
If they say if you can't draft weapons, you better buy some.
You better buy them.
And they bought a few.
Nah, they did.
So
they definitely did.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, I guess then no excuses why they, again, you better get better in the off season. At least try.
At least try, man. At least try. My last thing I'm gonna say is I don't think Deshaun gonna miss a game.
You don't think so?
Nah, not after the new thing.
Oh, you mean because of that? Okay, yeah. It's looking less likely. I thought you meant like he's gonna be healthy all year and everything gonna be perfect. But yeah, I was about to say they must not be gonna play Pittsburgh this year. So,
nah, he's been pretty healthy.
I'm just messing with TJ Watt out there. But yeah, it's looking less likely, and which is good. I don't, unless we never know with Roger Goodell. You never know.
Nah.
But I'm hoping, he doesn't, because he's one of the premier players in the league.
Correct.
So, if he does have to miss 2 games, I know the 2 that I want him to miss.
Yeah.
But
I'm with you.
But that ain't happening. So, but yeah, man. And also, y'all, on top of the special Outcast episode, get ready for our big mock draft episode. You ready for that, Pooh?
No doubt, man. No doubt. I'm kind of hot about it because I don't have a pick in it. But...
Oh yeah. Well, I make sure you get the you want the Browns pick. The Deshaun out there, or you want the Houston pick? I know that's who that's who you had shifted to. I don't know.
Houston who? Give me who? Give me the Browns, man. The Browns or the Jags. Give me the Jags, man.
Right. If you can't have your team, I'll get you the first pick.
No doubt, man. Give me the Jags or Houston.
All right, I'll talk to the people. Make sure I get you in that slot.
Jags or the Browns. I mean, I said Jags and Houston. Annoying me to say that. I like Lovey though.
Yeah. I hope Lovey does well.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, but that the big mock draft episode, where live mock draft will be on the 26th, 2 days before the actual draft. So y'all get ready for that.
Cool. That was great, man.
Well, yeah, man. That's all we got, man. Again, thanks to Chabdog. Shout out to Al. Oh, I see Al. What's up, man? I see you out there peeking out your office. Get back.
All right.
Get to work, cuz.
Right.
Yeah, man. That's all we got, man. Pooh has been real, and talk to you Saturday.
Always.
No doubt. And we'll talk to y'all next week. Until then, defy life.
Defy life. Peace.
Peace.